And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Today's Kevin Miller cash code word is invest. That's right, invest. And don't forget to listen at 8:05 and 3:05 with Sean Hannity afternoons, along with Kevin Miller mornings for your chance to win up to $5,000 right here, $5K right here on KIDO Talk Radio. And by the way, it's amazing when you think of just what a crazy weekend we had concerning the strikes on Syria. We'll get to that. Also, the James Comey interview and watching all the Sunday shows yesterday. I guess some people call it work in between going out to Car Wars. Again, big ups to our friend John and to the Quiet Idahoan from Bronco Motors. Appreciated my time with them and appreciated the time hanging out just watching the economy at work. At Car Wars at Expo Idaho. So it was a great weekend. Hope you had a good one. But, you know, there used to be a phrase that people would use when we're talking about radio, and they would say the news watch never stops, and it just seems it's on overload. So Friday night, everybody's ready to, chill out and have a good time, get ready for the weekend, and all of a sudden there's strikes on Syria. And I'm watching the shows on Saturday morning. In fact, Dave Petzo says, hey, I see you have some tickets to the symphony. And I said, well, I guess. He goes, well, I know some people that can use them. I said, okay. And he said, hey, have a great restful weekend. I said, I'm sitting here watching Syrian coverage. And for those of you that enjoyed the good weather, great. For those of you that are, wanted to be aggravated, I'm sorry. And it's funny because I find myself watching the lib networks for some strange reason. Now, you watch Fox, and we're proudly associated with the Fox News Channel. And, whether you're, like my mom in New Hampshire or me in Idaho, you sit there and watch the shows. And it's always funny watching my parents watch TV because they yell at it. It's almost like the Costanzas from Seinfeld. They just yell at it. And reluctantly, I guess that I'm the George of the family. But I'm watching the coverage, and they go, well, this strike really didn't do anything. And I go, whose team are they on? And then they're saying some people say the attacks aren't real, that it was made up. Alex Jones, who used to be on the station, had an epic meltdown where he's saying blatantly the F word. It's going viral. And people are taking the Syrian strike seriously. Look, Laura Ingraham and others think the president did the wrong thing. You cannot allow chemical weapons to be used against people. And then people were saying, well, it's only because Trump saw the video. And then people are saying, so it's okay to attack them when it's chemical weapons, not conventional weapons. And I remember, weren't these the same guys that covered for Obama and his thin red line? Just amazing when you think about this, right? I don't get it.
All NATO allies expressed their full support for the last night's actions, which was intended to degrade the Syrian regime's chemical weapons capability and to deter further chemical weapon attacks against the people of Syria.
Right. It's not to pick sides. It's not to provoke Russia. It's to take down Assad. By the way, your thoughts on the Syrian strike, 580.
NATO
580-5436, 580-KIDO.
strongly condemns the repeated use of chemical weapons by the Syrian regime. Chemical weapons cannot be used with impunity. They cannot become normalized.
So there we have it. And that's why the president ordered the attack. But people that were on the MSNBC and CNN, I mean, CNN's got to be the worst network. To be associated with CNN is, I don't know, it's indescribable how low you have to be on the ethical political spectrum to be associated with CNN. So they're making excuses. Well, Assad's not really bothering anybody. Assad's doing this. We don't know if it's true. Even if it's true, the president did this last year. They rebuilt things. We didn't kill anybody. I mean, you had some people saying they were mad because we didn't kill anybody. Well, we did. But the president, again, a surgical strike. So even when President Trump does seemingly the right thing, you have the leftist progressive media looking to derail him. It is just simply undeniable.
Mission accomplished is a military term, and as a military spouse, I know that mission accomplished means you have one task currently in front of you, and when it's completed, it is mission accomplished. Politically, mission accomplished means something broader, and I think that the president was referring in military terms. We, of course, know that our work in Syria is not done. We know that it is now up to Bashar al-Assad on whether he's going to use chemical weapons again, and should he use it again, the president has made it very clear that the United States is locked and loaded and ready to go.
There we have it. The UN ambassador, former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, saying, look, we're locked and loaded, we're ready to go. And we can sit back in our own world and go, well, it's great, it's fun, it's exciting, it's wonderful. But on the other hand, it's sending a message to Assad, it's sending a message to Putin. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Casey Smedley looks like she's not going to be with us, so we will drive on. The other big news of the day has to be what happened last night on ABC television, where you had James Comey, the aggrieved Boy Scout, the former fired FBI director, who was crying literally last night to George Stephanopoulos about how life is not fair.
I had obviously concerns about that earlier, having watched him on the campaign, that he is someone for whom the truth is not a high value.
You know, so like Meghan McCain said, because she read some of this, he talks about the president's hands. He says that Obama had a sense of humor. He says that President Trump doesn't. And you're thinking to yourself, is this setting the record straight? Is this about honor? Is this about payback, James Comey?
Our president must embody respect and adhere to the values that are at the core of this country, the most important being truth. This president is not able to do that. He is morally unfit to be president.
Wow. Here you have a man that has a thin skin. And I was watching the ABC News program with George Stephanopoulos, and they had Chris Christie on. Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey. Chris Christie, who should have been the vice president or the attorney general, said, look, I worked for James Comey. James Comey was a good dude. This is not the James Comey I remembered. If you're going to be influenced by polls, you don't belong in the FBI. If you're going to be influenced by polls, you don't belong as the director of the FBI. In fact, you had Chris Christie saying, if this happened to me, I would be fired. I would be fired by James Comey if I said polls had influenced my decision. Remember, as Sean Hannity has discussed many, many times, love listening to Sean in the afternoons here at KIDO Talk Radio, Comey thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. So what did he do? He kissed up to his boss, his new boss, by releasing the emails, by releasing everything else, so there would be no question about her victory. He talked about it last night.
It must have been. I don't remember consciously thinking about that, but it must have been. Because I was operating in a world where Hillary Clinton was going to beat Donald Trump. And so I'm sure that it was a factor. Like I said, I don't remember spelling it out, but it had to have been. That she's going to be elected president, and if I hide this from the American people, she'll be illegitimate the moment she's elected.
You know, it's funny. You're the director of the FBI. You're supposed to keep us safe. Where were you during the Boston bombing? Where were you during these attacks that have happened on Fort Hood and other places? Where were you in San Bernardino? You were so fired up about politics. I just don't find Comey to be credible. Do you? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. He talks about Mueller. And remember, it was Comey that deviously leaked information against the law. Now, remember, when you're the head of the FBI, that's like being the police chief, or the county prosecutor. So here you have the head law enforcement person in the United States leaking. It's crazy.
It would, I hope, set off alarm bells that this is his most serious attack yet on the rule of law. And it would be something that our entire country, again, Democrats and Republicans, that is higher than all the normal fights about policy. And it would be to the everlasting shame of partisan.
You know, who talks like this, right? And I know you're a little sleepy. I know it's early, but who talks like this? It's as if we're getting a civics lecture from a person that was fired from his job for not doing it. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Two things to talk about this morning. By the way, if you missed the cash code word, code 1 is INVEST. That is your chance to win Kevin Miller's money. So two things to think about here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The Syrian attack, many of you are against it. Many of you said, oh, Kevin Miller, the neocons are running crazy. Oh, Kevin Miller, this is the wrong thing to do. Oh, Kevin Miller, this is bad, bad, bad. And then I'm thinking to myself, I don't know about that. I think that if somebody uses chemical weapons, they need to be punished. I think that the president did the right thing, the surgical strike, because we don't want to antagonize Russia. We don't want Putin flexing with a double bicep coming down and laying the karate elbow drop on us, do we? So that's one issue, number one. Number two, this idea concerning Mueller and Comey. Now, you've heard a little of James Comey. We'll hear more of him basically crying to George Stephanopoulos and saying that the president is unfit. Well, we could have said that about Barack Hussein Obama. You remember Obama. Obama that gave us legalized weed. Obama that gave us the redefinition of marriage. Obama that gave us so much. And nobody ever said that about Obama. But President Trump comes in and says, look, this guy is not working for me. He's working against me. He's got to go. And this is what he gets.
If they were unable to see that higher level and to protect it.
Right. So James Comey, by the way, this is the money shot this morning, the Miller money shot.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
Wow. Amazing. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
I think it's possible. I don't know. These are more words I never thought I'd utter about a president of the United States, but it's possible.
Talking about the Russian collusion. One more time here.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
Ouch! Jim in Middleton, thanks for waking up on the right side. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, Jim.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you this morning?
I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Comey. What talk about an aggrieved party.
He's very childish and he's very butthurt here. And I mean, you can just see that. It's very, very personal, and he just loses all credibility. I have nothing intelligent to say about Comey other than that. I mean, it's just disgusting to see a professional FBI director behave this way.
It does, and you have to wonder, I thought these guys in the FBI, and I'm sure most of them are tough.
Well, they are until they get too close to the upper echelon, like Hillary, Obama, and that ilk. Then things, I guess, start to change, and your credibility goes out the window. That's the only thing I could think of. But, Kevin, I got a question on this, the Assad deal. And I have absolutely no qualms about attacking anyone that uses this type of warfare against people. But I have a question. Did we know that he did this before? I mean, this time around? Because he was winning the war over there, and he had to have known that if he used these weapons, that this was going to happen. And this is, I'm just trying to think things out a little bit and try to drill down on this and make sure we're doing the right thing and see what motives that he had. He could have just blown these people up, and of course, no one would have said anything. As the jet fighters go in, tanks and this and that and the other. I just want your thoughts on that. I know that you support that. And again, if he used it, I support it also. But I just have that question, just for clarification and your thoughts on that.
As far as, I think the president's won the war against ISIS. The idea, he can never win with the liberal press. They were actively, again, as we talked about, they were actively cheering for the Syrians and the Russians, saying the strike made no difference. I think you have to set a tone, and the president chose this surgical thing not to escalate tensions with the Russians or anybody else, and that was to take out the chemical weapons plant. I have to believe he did the right thing.
So they actually took out weapons or the chemical weapons plant, or they're just a weapons plant?
Chemical weapons, where the chemical weapons were being manufactured.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't have an issue with that. And the political left and what they say Kevin, I don't pay any attention to that. I'm just thinking on my own, and, you know, did this guy really use this? I mean, he had to known that this was going to happen, and I'm just wondering if somebody above the president and other people are pulling levers here, you know, using smoke and mirrors trying to get us into something. And just questioning, just keeping an open mind on that. But anyway, thanks for your thoughts there, Kevin.
Jim, have a great day.
You too. Take care.
All right, our great friend Jim from Middleton. Do want to remind you, this week's Thank You Thursday is Indian Creek Steakhouse. Get dinner for two, salads, and some sodas. Non-alcoholic beverages. You're going to get the Rancher and the Cowboy and Surf. Or is it the Cowboy and Turf? Anyway, it's shrimp and steak and the Rancher. Listen Thursday for your chance to win Kevin Miller's dinner from the Indian Creek Steakhouse. Our way of just saying thank you for listening. We appreciate you so much. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So it comes down to this. It all comes down to this. The Syrian strike and James Comey. And if you're just waking up and if you're thinking to yourself, well, Kevin, what did I miss? Maybe I had to work this weekend. Maybe I had to do something else. This is just going too far.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
Who died and promoted James Comey to commander-in-chief? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And this just in from President Trump. James Comey drafted the Crooked Hillary exoneration long before he talked to her, lied to Congress, to the Senate, then based his decisions on poll numbers, disgruntled he and McCabe and others committed, and it goes on and on and on. And let me just say this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Look at the double standard that the FBI and the Department of Justice, how they're treating the Trump administration and Obama. Remember Hillary Clinton? And maybe I'm listening to Sean Hannity too much in the afternoon, but look, great show. And Sean brought up this the other day where, remember when Hillary Clinton got the other server was found and then the FBI politely notified the offices, and maybe it was Chuck Ambrose that brought this up last week on our show, said, hey, you guys broke the law. We need to see your stuff. So what did they do? They acid washed. They got hammers. They beat the heck out of the hard drives. They made sure that nothing could be used. And then, like, the FBI came in, they said, oh, well, we don't need this. We don't need that. Now, contrast that to what they've done to Michael Cohen. Raiding his office, raiding his home. Paul Manafort going into his home at 3 a.m. And as Senator Paul said, if they can do this, if they can violate attorney-client privilege to the sitting president of the United States of America, what can they do to you? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. 627 with Kevin Miller in the morning. Time to get you to work. And Kevin Miller in the morning here, coming up after we get a report from one of our Fox News contributors, remembering a legend of talk radio. You may have heard over the weekend, Art Bell, the great founder of Coast to Coast AM, died at the age of 72 in his beloved Nevada desert. And coming up, we'll talk a little bit about Art Bell. And if you continue to listen to Coast with George Norrie, well, we would love to hear what you have to say. And truly, Art Bell created a format. Now, a lot of people will say that Rush Limbaugh saved AM radio, and he did. And Rush made, but, you had local talk shows on well before our great friend El Rushbo. But Art Bell just created something really out of nothing. He started with his radio station in the middle of the desert, and people picked up that show, and it became a national sensation. To me, it got kind of scary at times with the shadow people and Art Bell's, how Art Bell speaks, and this is a poor imitation of Art Bell. I mean, we still run his show Saturday nights, and it was nice to hear George Norrie giving a tribute to Art Bell, who died Saturday at the age of 72. So, again, at KIDO Talk Radio, we proudly remember the great Art Bell. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up, and just how innovative he was, and maybe he put you to sleep or kept you up overnights. That's next with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
All right, so coming up, Jeff Manasso will be joining us from Fox News Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We're talking about Fox Wheels. Also, If you're just waking up, getting your review and commentary on the Syrian strikes, the president laying down the smack, and James Comey. James Comey deciding he's going to spill all about President Trump. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO, and you go back to what Comey said. Probably the craziest thing is this.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
Scratch his name off the White House Christmas party. And like I said, James Comey, certainly symbolic of the society that we live in where everybody's a victim.
Look, it's true. I mean, I'm the one who testified about it. That's how people know about it. I gave that unclassified memo to my friend and asked him to give it to a reporter. That is entirely appropriate.
That is breaking the law.
It sucked. I walked around vaguely sick to my stomach, feeling beaten down, felt like I was totally alone, that everybody hated me, and that there wasn't a way out because it really was the right thing to do.
James Comey revising the role of Eeyore. Joining us now, Jeff Manasso, Fox News Radio. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Not bad. I thought of you this weekend. I was in an event called Car Wars where you had all the car dealers throughout the Treasure Valley, and they were all selling cars and lenders and such. And the car business continues to evolve. I have to ask you on this Fox Wheels segment, are we seeing the beginning of the end of our beloved sedans?
Close. I think that, I mean, right now it's all crossovers and SUVs, and we're starting to see car companies, contemplate taking sedans out of circulation, and it's we're not there yet, but right now the moneymaker for the auto industry really is it's crossovers and SUVs, and it's not sedans. So if you're in the market for a sedan, there are deep discounts, deals to be had on those things if you're interested. But we're also seeing other companies revitalize some of these vehicles. Look at the Toyota Camry. Look what Toyota's done to that. Look what Honda's done to the Honda Accord. Souping them, they're souping them up, making them a little bit more sexy, and in hoping that people will buy them and the nice looking cars. But again, that's not where it's not in the wheelhouse right now for these companies. It's crossovers and SUVs.
Yeah, crazy. Over the weekend, you had the Chevy Cruze plant in Lordstown, Ohio, decide to lay off people because people just aren't buying the Chevy Cruze, which I believe is an electronic hybrid that was supposed to be the future.
It was one of the top-selling cars for Chevy, and unfortunately, it's not. I mean, look, it's all about supply and demand, and right now, the Chevy Cruze may have seen its glory day. I don't know. I don't have the answer, Kevin. I'm not sure, but when you're talking about jobs like that certainly is a bitter pill to swallow, and I'm hoping that Chevy can come up with something else to turn things around.
Indeed. Jeff Manasso joining us, Fox News Radio, talking about Fox Wheels. What else is going on in the auto industry? I'm sorry to ambush you, but I had Jeff Manasso on my mind all weekend.
Well, one of the things that thank you, I appreciate that. I'll let my wife know. One of the things that I was talking about today was President Trump's presidential limousine. It is about to be unveiled. The limo, or the Beast, described as a caddy on a tank frame. You saw Barack Obama's presidential limousine unveiled back in 2008, and so prototypes of this new state car. We've seen them. Our Fox Wheels spies have photographed them on public roads near GM's proving ground in Michigan last fall. It's all part of GM's $16 million government contract with Cadillac. And Cadillac President John Dineshin had told Fox News last week that they have completed their task and they've handed over the vehicle to the customer being the Secret Service. And so they have at least one of these, and this next generation presidential limo, or Beast, is expected to be unveiled later this summer. And its details are obviously closely kept national
security secret, but the existing armored limousine reportedly protects against ballistic, explosive, chemical weapons attacks. It's got an advanced communication system and medical supplies, and reportedly includes the president's blood type. So some pretty cool stuff. And the president gets his new car finally.
Our great friend Jeff Manasso, we appreciate you, brother. Stay out of trouble.
Thanks, Kevin. You too.
All right, our great friend Jeff Manasso. More of your phone calls in a minute. Rick and Boise, hang on. Let's go to Casey Smedley joining us from the RNC. Casey, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
You know, thankfully, we're going to get some knowledge here. You've had me just to pontificate for a half an hour about the Comey interview. What did you think? What are people in Washington thinking about the Boy Scout playing victim?
That's a good way to describe it very succinctly. You know, I think what we're seeing is that a higher loyalty means a higher loyalty to himself. And I like, as someone else described it, I wish I could take credit for this, a higher royalty. This is really all about making money and James Comey's beleaguered attempt to rehabilitate his reputation, the reputation that he single-handedly knocked down when he chose to make his position at the FBI a political one and inject his political beliefs into it. And I think what we saw in the interview last night was just more verification that that's really all this is.
Yeah, very odd. You know, we've been playing this clip again and again. I don't think we've ever had anyone who has been dismissed from public service or who's so recently in public service say this about a sitting president.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
You have to wonder, I mean, is this guy just immature when it comes to what happened to him? I mean, people get fired all the time. People go to the highest levels, and it doesn't work out.
Right. And, you know, in his book, he takes these very low blows about his descriptors of the president, and then to hear him say that last night. And it really undermines whatever sound argument he might be trying to make by making these low blows. And again, if he is a person who says, or who believes, as he says, that the role of the FBI director is non-political and that you do it by the letter of the law and that's what guides you, then why say these things? Why not say, you know, I'm a public servant, not a political one, and that's not for me to weigh into. But he can't help himself because he is political in nature. And that's the problem with everything he's going to set out to do and has been saying. And that's why I, for one, am totally fine with the president fighting back and not being walked all over by this guy.
Well, Casey, as you and Meghan McCain pointed out yesterday on ABC, you know, is if he's, you know, trying to set the record straight, we'll do that, but don't start talking about how one president has a sense of humor, one doesn't, and the physical character. I mean, you're going, dude, these are just cheap shots. Certainly that would be beneath a junior member of the FBI, not the former director.
Well, absolutely. And those are the people I keep thinking about, those junior members of the FBI who are going out day in and day out, dedicated to their mission. They think they're reporting to one man, and lo and behold, it turns out that this guy has a whole other mission in mind. That's frustrating at a minimum. But, you know, here's what I also think. This reminds me of when Barack Obama was elected, and it was this personality tour. Everybody just, oh, he's got this great charm and charisma. But what did he do for the American people? And now you've got James Comey, who says, oh, you know, he doesn't have as great of a sense of humor, and it's back to these personality things, right? But you've got a president who's working tirelessly for the American people and getting results. And that's really hard for people like him and so many other liberal Democrats to reconcile. And we do know that while James Comey may not be a Republican or a Democrat, he is political. We know from last night's interview that his wife and daughters went to the Women's March. We know that in his bubble, Hillary Clinton was the foregone conclusion to be the next president, which to me says that he was in a very elitist political bubble and not in the American people's bubble. So there's all these little indicators of, even though he might have claimed and might still believe that he's not a political person, that he indeed is. And that, again, undermines whatever argument he's trying to get us to buy into in this book.
Well, let's go a little deeper at KIDO Talk Radio, Casey, when you're talking about how he treated Hillary Clinton as opposed to how he treated Donald Trump.
Right. Well, to be clear, think it's very interesting where we're talking about all these personality cuts that he makes on President Trump, and yet to Hillary Clinton, he apologizes to her in the book. I'm sorry if she felt I mistreated her. What? That was a line that keeps standing out to me. But then also to see that he felt that he had to get this out in the public. That was the reason he made the decision he made to go public with an FBI investigation. That in and of itself is a real red flag, because he didn't want to undermine her presidency, assuming, of course, that she was going to win. That says there is a lot of personal and political belief injected into those decisions. That wasn't a man following the law, as he has previously purported to be his role. And that's very problematic, and again, undermines the credibility of the FBI and the Justice Department, and that's very unfortunate to the rank and file men and women who are working every day to do the very opposite of that.
Well, and I love how he admitted to being a leaker, which is illegal.
Yes, we finally got that admission where it's illegal to be a leaker. He lied under oath about being a leaker. And then last night in the interview, he sort of said, I don't see that as an issue. Well, I do. I'm glad you brought that up.
So where do we go from here? The president obviously having enough of President Assad and striking back, sending a strong message to people in the region that chemical weapons will not be tolerated. And then you have the people on the shows. They were like giving the benefit of the doubt to Assad and the Russians. It's almost as if the president can't do anything right with them.
Well, and that's exactly it. They're not looking for him to do anything right. They're looking for him to be able to call out anything they can. I mean, you see, again, going back to Comey, they call out the size of his hands or the length of his tie, because God forbid we talk about the good things happening in our country and for the American people. But I do think that it was striking to see the difference in tone that I remember when I was on Capitol Hill back when President Obama was trying to make the decision about whether or not to strike in Syria. And, of course, we all remember the red line that then was trampled all over. And there didn't seem to be this discourse. Yes, there was conversation like we're hearing again. Does he need to ask for permission of Congress? The overarching belief was that the AUMF, the authorization for use of military force that was currently in place, was good enough. They gave him just a lot more of a, you do what you need to do and we're here for you, versus President Trump does what he feels is best for the safety and security of the American people, and they're not singing the same tune. I just think it's rich that they can find every excuse to politicize and, frankly, demonize our president. But I do think that that's unfortunate that they're continuing to live in that bubble as opposed to getting in touch with where everyday Americans are on these issues.
Casey, we appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great week.
You too. Let's go to Rick in Boise quickly with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Rick, thanks for your patience.
Kevin, I just get this kick with not moral enough. I'm wondering, where's Bill Clinton at this? How far is moral enough? Moral is Bill Clinton. Speaking of which, where is he on the Me Too? Wasn't he harassed by so many women? No, really, wasn't Bill? Hillary made sure that Bill was moral enough to stay in the White House, right?
Yeah, you'd be correct.
I'm wondering, where is he with all this Me Too? Where is he? He's the one that has the morals. I want to know. Anyway, that's all I want to know. Have a good one.
All right, Rick, thank you. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
The Assad regime again deployed chemical weapons to slaughter innocent civilians, this time in the town of Douma, near the Syrian capital of Damascus. This massacre was a significant escalation in a pattern of chemical weapons use by that very terrible regime.
President Trump strikes Syria. We'll talk about it next. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. It is 6:56. Time for traffic and weather.
So today, the nations of Britain, France, and the United States of America have marshaled their righteous power against barbarism and brutality.
And there we have it, the president speaking Friday night on the attack on Syria. Now, we've been talking about this for quite some time. Many of you believe that it's a wrong move. Many of you that have called in, maybe many of you believe that don't call in with me, that President Trump had to send a message.
Hopefully someday we'll get along with Russia and maybe even Iran, but maybe not.
Maybe not. Now, those that argue against this will say that, look, there is no proof. Of course, they're repeating talking points from the Russians. We've known that Assad has been a bad man for a long time, that he would not be there if it weren't for Putin. It would not be there if he were there for the mullahs. And you're judged by the company you keep, whether it's in life, whether it's in school, whether it's at work, whether it's part of the nation, the League of Nations, if you will. Well, we thought that the machine would work. Maybe not. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. In addition to that, remembering a great legend of broadcasting, and that is Art Bell, who passed away this weekend at the age of 72. Even if you listen to radio briefly, talk radio, or even commercial music radio, everyone knew who Art Bell was. He founded that Coast to Coast. George Norrie does a terrific job. Really appreciated George Norrie talking about the death of Art Bell over the weekend, because on Saturday nights we still run the classic Coast to Coast with Art Bell, and it's funny to hear those shows, whether you're in the bed or driving around, when you hear Art Bell talking about the future way back when he hosted that show. We will miss that great legend, Art Bell. You will be remembered, sir. Kevin Miller in the morning, Fox News next on your home for Fox News on the radio. 107.5 FM, 580 AM, or as we like to say, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, we go one-on-one with Dave Petzo about the volatile markets. Oh, my. Stay tuned.